Yes. Honourable members, the meeting of the Standing Finance Committee is resumed, and we are now going to Head 64, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Head 64, Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, $2,431,926,800. I would like to take this opportunity to invite the Honourable Minister of National Security, if he so desires, to make a brief statement for no more than 5 minutes, as I take this opportunity to welcome the Police Commissioner and his team. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wish to state that this started with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service having their budgetary allocation just about 2 or 3 years now, and it has proven to be very effective. One of the problems that we have seen in dealing with law enforcement, apart from the concerns of lack of training and acquisition of assets, has to do with management. And through this system that we have now, with the budget allocation being dealt with by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, they have the better knowledge to ascertain exactly what is required and how soon it is required. The previous system, it was very difficult for them to acquire specific things, and it was affecting the performance of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. And through this system, with the Commissioner of Police being the accounting officer, it allows him now to be involved in good accountability, having that sense of that proper management, and to be able to acquire the assets that the police service need on an immediate basis. So it has proven to be very effective. I think the management along this has assisted greatly towards law enforcement. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I look forward for us to deal with this matter.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable members, the question is that the sum of $2,431,926,800 for Head 64, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, stand part of the schedule. Honourable members, the sum of $2,431,926,800 for Head 64, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure and the draft estimates of development program. I go immediately to subhead 01, personal expenditure, item 1, police service. I recognize the Honourable Member for Laventille East. Move on.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Oh, I am sorry. I recognize the Honourable Member for Laventille East. Move on, then the Member for Port au Prince South.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I have a few questions, but I'll start with the subhead 03, overtime.
Subhead 03, overtime.
I see that the 2015 estimate is $275 million.
Yes.
What accounts for that high figure?
The Honourable Minister of National Security.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're aware that the police service, they work a 40-hour work week, and because of the shortage of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, remember the manpower strength is just about 1,000 less than what is required. So because of this, unfortunately, and because of the high demand of policing, we have been forced to go along this line. However, because with the upcoming fiscal year, we intend to have the increase of the police manpower strength of at least 1,000, and by doing this, with more police officers being on strength, there will be less need for that on a continuous basis. But this has really been because of the shortage of the police manpower strength and the police service working the 40-hour work week.
Just a similar question.
Mr. Chairman,
I just want to know how soon.
I would like to speak on this item.
Of course. Okay, of course. Yes.
I know that there has been a lot of talk about reducing overtime. You know, what is being put in place and how soon could that be done?
Well, again,
with police service, that is.
The reduction of the overtime would come with the increase of the manpower strength. If the police service get to the manpower strength that is required, the 8,000 odd.
You have a time frame?
There are two batches that we are looking at, and they're doing batches of just 400 to 500. And by doing this, hopefully by July next year, we would start reaching that position where the police would be, for the first time, close to or equal to the establishment.
All right, I recognize Port-au-Prince South.
Calendar.
Mr. Chair, is a follow-on to what Laverton East would have asked. And for 08, the vacant post, you have allocated $115 million for this item. What's happening and what steps are you taking to fill these posts?
Mr. Chairman, again goes to the vacancies. What we've had is a revolving door where the police recruiting process will be in batches of just about 100 every 6 months. And within that 6-month period, you will have the attrition rate based on resignation, retirement, and so forth. And because of that, we are always playing catch up. Now, because we are doing batches of 400 to 500, it means that within a year, we will now have an increase of 1,000, but a loss of probably a couple hundred. So that means they will actually have that increase of about 800 by end of the fiscal year? End of calendar year. Yes.
Okay. I recognize the Honourable Member for Diego Martin North East and then Diego Martin Central.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First, let me apologize if I ask a question that was asked when I was not in the chamber. Could the Minister tell us what is the approved establishment of the police service?
It is 7,715.
And how many of those positions are filled?
6,200.
So we short 1,500?
It's about 1,500, yes.
Okay.
So with the two batches of 500 each,
Okay.
we will be getting close.
How does this shortage affect the ability of the police service to conduct its operations?
Yeah. Well, and again, that is where the problem lies when we go right back to to sub-item 3 with the overtime. Because of this, the 6,000 serving officers now have to do the work of 7,700. Hence the reason for the overtime, because of the 40-hour work week.
Okay, the other point on that same item, 01, these 1,500 vacancies, are they across the ranks or are they at the intake level, the constable level?
Well, the bulk will be at the rank of constable, but remember there's that pyramid. So as more persons leave, there would be vacancies, but the bulk of that 1,500 odd would be the recruits, that recruiting level for the rank of constable.
So are you saying, therefore, that most of the senior ranks are filled? The positions are filled? That's what you're saying?
Well, we have persons holding the acting rank at the acting positions as well.
I wanted to ask about that as well. How many persons do you have in acting positions?
Yeah, we have filled all the ranks of assistant commissioner, senior superintendent.
We have all the ranks: acting commissioner, senior superintendent, assistant commissioner, senior superintendent, superintendent. Those have been filled.
No, total of the, you say you have 6,200 police officers at this time?
Yes.
How many of those are in acting positions, approximately?
Yeah. I'll have to assess that and get that information for you.
No problem. And since the police commissioner was given the responsibility for hiring, discipline, promotion, etc., of all ranks, I think below deputy commissioner, if I'm right, has there been any improvement in the filling of positions and dealing with grievances with respect to acting positions?
The Honourable Minister.
Yes.
Just trying to find out if the police reform exercise is working, in terms of delegating responsibility to the commissioner.
All right. Yes, that's right. The acting it is not just by the substantive vacancies. At times there will be situations where persons will go on courses, sick leave, vacation. So at times it will vary.
No, I understand. Let me explain what I'm driving at.
Yeah.
In the past, there was always this complaint that the Police Service Commission took very long to fill positions
Process,
and
okay.
promote police officers and so on. We made some changes some years ago, giving the police commissioner now the authority to hire, promote, etc.
Which rank is that?
Has there been any significant improvement in the filling of vacancies and promotions
Yes.
and so on?
More so in the second division, yes.
Well, could we get some details on
I
this?
would,
You'll provide
yes.
it in writing?
Sure, I would.
Okay. Could I go now to 03 and 04? Those two together are $700 million, more or less. 703 actually. Sorry, $603 million. The total salary bill for the police service is $850. So overtime and allowances now is getting close to the basic salary of police officers. Is this a healthy situation to be in? Should we not be paying the police officers more? I mean, why do we have to do this, pay them overtime and allowances and so on?
No, well, but the reason, as I said, the reason for the overtime is
Or the
because,
some of it.
or the sum itself,
No.
or it's on the rationale for the overtime.
In my opinion, one of the reasons for overtime would be the fact that you're short.
Correct.
You know, you're
Yes.
short-staffed. But surely that can't explain a $600 million expenditure for overtime and allowances in the context of a wage bill of $850 million. It's a huge amount. Doesn't it point to the fact that the basic salary should be higher?
The basic salary of the police officers?
Yeah. If you're spending $600 million on allowances and overtime, shouldn't you be just be paying them more?
Well, that will be decided on when we have the audit, which is pending, and the audit would verify if it, that we need to improve the salaries.
Are you doing a job evaluation exercise?
Yes.
You know, it's not being done for members of parliament, judges, and people like that. Under the SRC, the speaker, and so on. They're not doing it for us. They don't really care about us too much.
Yeah,
but is a job evaluation exercise being done for police officers?
Well, what? No, but again, what my focus is on the audit itself. The audit itself is...
It's a serious question.
Yeah, it is good. It's going to ensure all aspects. You see, sometimes you look at the audit and you're just thinking about finance. This audit is going to ascertain not just how to improve the police service, but also you're looking at, there are certain, for the last few decades, we have the police service in a structured manner, and things have changed in law enforcement, and there might be need for new units. There may be a need to reassign persons that will be in one unit, what may have been important 20 years ago to what is here now.
No, I'm talking about compensation. You see, the job evaluation exercise for members of parliament and judges and so on is to determine our hours of work, our responsibilities, what we do. We stay here for 12 hours a day, 2 weeks in a row. We get paid part-time. I'm just wondering if, while they don't care about us, whether somebody in the government is doing a job evaluation exercise on the duties, responsibilities, working conditions of police officers to see whether their pay package is commensurate with their duties, responsibilities, and working conditions, even though it's not being done for parliamentarians and judges and
stressing
so on.
that.
No, I'm serious. They don't care about us or judges or other people like that. But is someone caring about the police officers and doing a job evaluation exercise to see if their compensation package matches their duties and responsibilities?
Yes, and the audit, that's right. With the audit from the present Commissioner of Police, Bill Bratter, when he was here, he actually said it, and I emphasized the point that the officers need to be compensated so that they will be able to perform better, especially based on their duties. So the audit would also be part of that process to show that the status right now may very well show that the salary that the police officers receive, it is not in keeping with what is required, especially at best practice.
So as we get along later in the estimates, we'll final allocation for that there, for the job evaluation exercise you spoke about.
Possible.
You have to pay for it. So it has to be in here somewhere.
Well, remember, with the audit, will then be recommendations in the audit, and then we'll have to move from there after the audit.
As we go along, I'll look for it and see if I could find it, because I couldn't find it.
Please.
I recognize the Honourable Member for the Martin West, Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm very pleased to see the Minister here this evening, because the last time I had the opportunity to speak to him face-to-face like this about the police, he was the advisor to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago on matters of national security. And in that discussion, which was a visit by the opposition to the Prime Minister's office, the question of a manpower audit of the police service featured very prominently. And I got the impression, I came away from that meeting, that the advisor, who is now the minister, was in agreement that that was an urgent requirement. And I'm not here talking about a manpower audit against the background of emoluments. I'm talking about deployment. We have an establishment of 6,000 people, or we have 6,000 persons on the
6,000
job?
yeah, out of 7,000. Yeah.
6,200. Okay.
600.
The manpower audit is really meant to answer a question. What do we have, and where are they deployed? What are they doing? To answer another question, are we getting the best use of what we have? And also, do we have enough of the right people in the right places? That is what a manpower audit answers. And when you answer those questions, then you come to the other answer about how you pay them and if you pay them properly. But I would like to hear from the minister whether the manpower audit as conceived in that meeting, I think it was August sometime last year about, which is
yes.
to deal with the deployment of bodies in the police service, and whether we have the right mix of skills in the right places, if that is being done now.
Yes, and that.
Yes,
Sorry, Chairman. Yes, that audit is being conducted by the
Who's doing it?
Harnett and I have to get the exact name, Harnett and Company, but that is the company that was under present Commissioner of Police Bill Bratton when he was here. So they are aware of what is required. We are just waiting now for it to commence. It has already been approved at cabinet level, and that is exactly what you said. I am in agreement with you 100%. That manpower audit is very critical before we even move to deal with salary increase, and the audit will dictate the whole structure of the police service, because right now where we had a situation years ago where police officers will spend more time in the buildings. It has changed now. Now it is more customer service, where you need to have the police officers out in the streets much more than in the police buildings. So now you see less police buildings in other cities and more police officers out in the streets. There's also, because of the situations now with law enforcement, there will be need for other type of agencies that we'd never had before. More focus on crime scene investigation to deal with the detection rate. Do we need a forensic center of department assigned to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service? Do we need to have more undercover police officers? New York, for example, 1/3 of their police department, they are undercover officers. Do we have the proper training facilities for the police service? Are there certain agencies in the police service that we need to disband because there may not be a need for it based on the threat assessment? So that manpower audit will do exactly that.
And that is being done. Do you have any idea when we can look to?
We hope for it to commence by
commence and completed?
Late October, early November.
With a comment, you don't know yet what kind of completion date?
I think it'll take a few months to complete. We're looking at by February.
Given what the minister has just said, Mr. Speaker, I crave your indulgence to follow on to what he said before we go back to the numbers. And that is, try and get an understanding of what problem we're trying to solve. Mr. Chairman, in looking at the police service and what exactly the police service understands as its mandate, I found out that the police service understands that its mandate is to maintain law and order, public service, public safety, and defense against aggression, manage disaster preparedness and response, monitor and control the flow of persons into and out of the country. Now, that is my understanding from what I've researched. Maintain law and order and public safety. I wouldn't argue with that. But defense against aggression, is that something that is a carryover from colonial times? Because I don't know that since we've got a defense force, that the police service still has that as its main focus. Then manage disaster preparedness and response. We have created a very expensive ODPM body. So is the police still seeing that as part of its role? And monitor and control the flow of persons into and out of the country. Isn't that Immigration Department's role? So really, if what I've discovered here existed from colonial days, the real function of the police service, which is relevant today, is maintain law and order and public safety. And then I come down to the mission. What does the police understand as its mission? And I discovered the mission is, in partnership with the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, we provide for safe and secure communities and other places through professional policing, focused leadership, and consistent high-quality service. And the vision is to make every place in Trinidad and Tobago safe. Against that background of those components, I'd like to ask the Minister, and ask how are we succeeding or failing against that mission statement and that vision for the police service?
Yes, Chairman. And again, that is why we are trying to, we do not want to have the audit done internally. What we are trying to look at is what we have seen as best practice, and exactly what you have said. It is quite possible that a lot of, many of the rules and functions of the police service is something that was 40 years ago. And because the times have changed in law enforcement, there's a different need, there's a different threat assessment, and there will be different rules and functions. So the things that we will see here, it may not be what is required now. And that is exactly what the audit will do. Some of the things, however, from a secondary perspective, the police would have a part to play. For example, to deal with one of the things you spoke about, a disaster in a case of any natural or man-made disaster.
Control flow of people into and out of Trinidad and Tobago, and defense against aggression.
Right, defense against aggression, and to deal with any natural or man-made disaster. There would be some aspects of policing, as we could have seen in the attempted coup in 1990. That was a situation where there was a clear and present danger, but there was a need for the police presence, and even though the defense force became the front line because of the state of emergency, and it was based on insurgents trying to destroy our democracy as we knew it, the police still had a part to play, but that was really secondary. That was not their primary role and function. Likewise, in any natural or man-made disaster, there would be need for police to assist in traffic control, in movement of the crowd, and to avoid riots or anything like that. So there would be situations where the police would be involved in those aspects, but from a secondary perspective. But what I'm just speaking about is all based on perception. The audit will verify, based on what is best practice worldwide, how the police service should be established, especially, and this is not to have a template, because different police units worldwide will have different rules and functions based on the threat assessment. What our Trinidad and Tobago police service will be required to do here will be totally different to probably what they'll want in Costa Rica, because they don't have a defense force, or Colombia, or even in New York. However, there would be a general concept, and I think there are certain things that I have seen that requires changes.
But would you agree that if the audit, the manpower audit, is to be used as a tool for refocusing the police, that one has to have the mission clarified, so as to determine what the requirements are against the background of any findings of the audit?
Agreed, yes.
And from what I just read there, and from what you have said, it appears as though there is going to be the need for a serious restructuring of the police service. Are you seeing that?
Agreed, and I think that is where the audit would verify exactly the direction that we need to go, and especially, and also looking at the mission, but more importantly, looking at their role and function, both primary and secondary. Agreed.
And
yes, I recognize Diego Martin Central.
Thank you, Chairman. Listen to the explanation about the upcoming audit. And I'm sure there are police officers in my constituency saying, while the grass is growing, the cow is starving, or the cows are starving. My question is with respect to a system of incentives for police officers in various branches. I am particularly concerned about the Anti-Corruption Investigations Bureau and other officers.
No, if you could point to us where that is located.
02.
02?
Yes, wages and cost of living allowance. So is there any system of financial incentives in place for officers in specific branches? And secondly, my question on wages and cost of living allowances has to do with other paymasters for officers within the police service, whether they are on or off duty, and the legality, Mr. Minister, the legality of the existence of other paymasters for specific police officers, whether they are on duty or off duty. And I'm speaking with respect to engagement at fetes, bars, parties, escort service for heavy vehicles, and a range of other services that police officers provide from time to time, on occasion with remuneration involved, and as I'm saying, paymasters other than the Treasury of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm asking about whether this is legal. Is the Commissioner or Minister aware of any such practice? And if so, what steps are being taken or proposed to deal with such?
By the police. It's not by the police.
Service regulation.
No, by the police.
Yeah.
And the police pays them.
Any private enterprise seeking the services of the police when they are off duty.
Yeah, no.
Engaged.
But who pays you? Who pays them? They pay you.
They pay police service.
Right, yeah, that's.
Before you answer, I just want to remind honourable members, there's a committee that will be populating
Police officer personnel.
next week on national security. And that committee mandate is broad. Those matters that you are raising, I feel, could best be discussed at that level. Right now, we are dealing with line items. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition sought my indulgence, which I facilitated, but I don't want that to become a practice or a habit. We are dealing with line items, and the Minister of National Security and the team headed by the Commissioner of Police, they have come prepared to deal with these line items. So let's deal with the line items. And these extra matters that you're talking about, whether people are paid legally or illegally, that is not before us. What is before us is salary and cost of living allowance. We have a sum. You believe it's small?
I was guided by precedent set a little earlier.
No. The precedent was only for the leader.
I wasn't referring to the leader of the opposition when there were questions about the Brian Lara Stadium, etc. But I hear you, and I actually agree with your guidance. If the minister is not able to respond now,
Yes, go ahead.
Shall I?
Yes, go ahead, please.
No, there is a provision in the police service for police officers who are off duty. But I just want to clarify the point here, Mr. Chairman, because there are two aspects here. If a police officer is off duty, there is a provision that is made that allows persons to then go to the police service to make the request. So if the person, if it's a duty outside of the role and function, they can then, the payment is made to the police service, and they then pay the police officer for that duty when he's off duty. Now, I don't know if that is what you're speaking about, or police officers who are off duty and they are just paid directly by individuals, such as carnival fêtes and so forth. Well, that has nothing to do with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So that is not within the authorization of the police service. That is a private venture that is done between a police officer on his own time. No, illegal. But and what makes it worse is, especially if the police officer will use his firearm in the performance of that duty.
illegal.
Very illegal, yes. Okay.
Let's go to Laventille East Mova.
I just want to go back to 0302.
Yes.
I know that I heard the minister say that 6,200 persons are
Active, yeah.
active.
Yes.
Could I get the figure on how many persons would be on sick leave, suspension, or vacation or so?
15%? We have the breakdown.
What about all the
Only one time. 15? 20. That exact amount, but it would vary. It would vary.
I know that it's,
yeah.
I know it's a high figure, so I want to know how much.
Yes, and we wouldn't want you to mislead us.
Yes, that's right. Yes,
So
yes,
give us
yes,
the
yes,
proper-
I'll give you the proper, yes.
Yes, by providing us in
Yes,
writing.
yes, please.
All right. We go to 02, goods and services. And we go to item 1, police service Trinidad. I recognize the leader of the opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 02 0103. Uniforms. Is it that we buy new uniforms every year, or we stock up on a purchase and then draw down on the stores? Because, Mr. Chairman, I'm seeing here under police uniform, and this is just police uniform. 2013, $20 million. 2014, $35 million. 2015, $40 million. Now, that seems to be a very generous allocation for uniforms. So I would like an explanation as to how we proceed to spend that money.
The Honourable Minister of National Security.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, they will purchase uniform for all police officers in accordance with the police service regulations and the standing orders. Now, as what we have seen, again, because of the increase in the manpower strength, the numbers would increase. So when we're looking at the allocation, as mentioned, whereas before we will just bring a batch of 180 persons would leave, we were always at that number. But because of the anticipation that we will get very close to the establishment of 7,000, there is going to be an increase. So as before, like last year, there may have only been about 6,000 police officers. If next year we will have 1,000 more, there would be an increase in the uniform, and with the increase in the uniform, there would be an increase in the budget allocation for the uniform.
No, but I'm saying that you spent 35 million in 2014 on your current establishment.
Yes.
You're telling me there'll be some more next year, so you'll go up. But I'm starting from the base level of $35 million.
Yes.
And I'm saying, is it that every year we'll have look at 2013.
Yes.
2013 was 28 million.
Yes.
And if I go backwards in time, I'm sure I'm going to see.
Yeah, but
so is it that every
it
year
is an annual.
we buy a few tens of millions of dollars in uniform?
Yes, and it's not just, remember we have the task force, the mounted branch, the guard and emergency branch, and every police officer, they have about 4 or 5, I think, types of uniform for ceremonial, for a grading.
So you don't think that this is an exorbitant figure? It's a required figure?
Well, again, if we do the maths.
I'm just asking. I have no predisposed position. I'm just asking, looking at the numbers, because $40 million is not a small amount of money.
Yes.
So I'm asking, is that $40 million going to be repeated every year when your establishment is established in 18 months or thereabouts, or in 12 months? Can we look forward every year to be spending that on uniforms? Is that what's required?
Well, I think at this time, again, with the Commissioner of Police being the accounting officer, I do trust
Ask him.
I asked him, he said yes. He said yes.
Well, that's what I'm asking. That's the answer I'm looking for. Does the Commissioner feel that in making his budget, as we go forward, that this is the kind of outlay we have to look for with respect to uniforms? So if he says yes, well, we'll examine it later on as we go forward. Mr. Chairman, telephones.
No, on this same item.
On telephone?
Should I come back to that when I'm speaking, or can we deal with this same item?
Well, they could deal with
Mr. Chairman, if I could just do the maths roughly here, $40 million, when you divide that by 7,000 officers, right, that's ballparking, you're looking at just about $6,000 per officer. And with 5 different types of uniform, you're looking at just about $1,000, and that includes different from boots, belts, and so forth. So ballpark, and then including the SRPs, you're looking just about for every uniform is going
So the figure is reasonable.
Yes.
That's what I'm getting at.
Right. I'll ask notice on the same matter, and then you after.
Same matter.
And then we come back to the Honourable
Is
Member.
the Minister saying or implying that these 6 uniforms that each officer has, more or less, are changed every year? In other words, they last for 12 months only? Is that what you're saying?
No,
I have another question on this same item.
Well, again, Mr. Chairman, how many uniforms per officer? 4 or 5 different types? Yeah, right. But there are, as I said, there are 4 or 5 different type of uniform. But
focus on my question.
I know, I'm coming to it. That's what I'm saying. I am on the question. So with those, there will be certain uniforms that they use on a daily basis, and those, based on the wear and tear, they will be the ones that you will have to change on an annual basis. There may be others, such as for ceremonial parades and so forth, it may not be required. So it's really difficult to say that all the uniforms would be changed on an annual basis. It's based really on the duty of the individual. What
The reason why this matter has attracted my attention is because in 2011, the figure was $10 million. And I'm sure police were properly provisioned or almost properly provisioned. So we got by in 2011 with $10 million. We're now saying that 3 years down the road, or 2 years down the road, the satisfying figure is $40 million. So what caused this drastic change?
Okay, what I would do, I can look at, I see what you're speaking about. They're talking about a 400% increase. But I know that at that time, even the police second division, they were very upset because there was not, the uniforms, they were not being purchased on an annual basis. It doesn't mean that to just, what I will do, I will just look at the difference and verify
check it out.
And check it out, yes.
breakdown of
Yes.
how many
Breakdown of the
uniforms you
uniform.
buy per officer, what type, and so on an annual basis?
Sure.
And what procurement procedure do you use? And who designs these uniforms? Because, Mr. Speaker, the former Commissioner of Police, Mr. Gibbs, come on, this is a purchase
Please,
Mr.
please.
Speaker, could you control them?
Yes.
I mean, clearly, the design of the uniform must have some effect on its cost. So the former Commissioner of Police had said that the uniforms that the police officers are using were unsuitable. Some of the type of material, and the material is not suited for tropical climate. I distinctly remember a public statement made by Mr. Gibbs to this effect, and that he was going to change out all the uniforms and so on. Yeah, so could this expenditure have anything to do with that? That the old style uniform is now being changed out and new uniforms are being designed? Could you tell us who designs these uniforms and the procurement procedure for them, please?
Your Honourable Minister.
No, the uniform has not changed. It is the same uniform we had from the colonial type uniform.
Okay.
We do.
So what's the procurement procedure?
Yeah, well, no.
All right, Mr. Chairman, could you control that side for me, please? Mr. Chairman, I'm
Well,
trying to get
we're talking about the colonial grey.
This side here. Procurement procedure.
We have an established set procurement procedure.
Yeah, there's a set procurement procedure. If you require, I can actually give the breakdown and show how it is done for uniform.
It's a lot of money. I'd like to know how you go about. Do you get 3 quotes? Do you have a bonded supplier? How are you doing this? I'd like to know. Is it competitive bidding, or you just have a preferred contractor? I'd like to know.
Could you supply that in writing?
Yes, Chairman. And Chairman, also, I could also speak the police second division. In fact, they have actually written to me and met. We had meetings on several occasions where they have voiced their concern and requests to have the whole uniform changed. You know.
So uniforms are this.
I recognize Lavendale East mover.
Well, I just wanted to ask if there was a policy with regards to the distribution of uniform and the use of uniform. A written policy on that.
Honourable Minister.
But how often you distribute it and so on?
Established practice with the distribution where there are certain items. It's like an issue, and the list here to each police officer will have his issue. And there will be times where, based on item being unserviceable, it will be returned to the quartermaster, and then they will get a new issue. So even there may be a specific period for wear and tear. Based on certain situations where the boots or whatever may take place, there would be that change.
I just have a follow-up question. It concerns what measures are being put in place, because now there seem to be a lot of persons with police uniform, authentic uniforms. So what measures are being put in place to prevent that from happening? What security measures with regards to uniforms and accountability, where police officers are issued uniforms and it turn up in the hands of bandits? What is being put in place to deal with that?
Well, we do, in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, they do have lists of standing orders where internal audits will be done on a regular basis. It does not mean that it would prevent, it is going to automatically prevent all aspects of police officers either misplacing or even it deliberately being handed over to the wrong side. But because through the standing orders and the regular audits, and maybe there may be a need to have more audits and regular checks done to ensure that police officers, they have the equipment that they have. And I know you're speaking about even like a bulletproof vest and it has police on it. If it gets in the wrong hands, what can happen? I know well from the side of the customs that there's a lock to ensure that those items they do not enter from ports of entry, but police officers who presently have their uniform to ensure that it stays there with the police officer and it is used in the right manner.
Do you remember for Ruka Maloney?
You have that.
Yeah, coming to you in a short while.
Mr. Chair, what I wanted to ask was with reference to the purchase of uniforms that were printed in the media in 2012, whether or not those uniforms would be utilized, and if not, where are they?
Apparently, our association had publicized it's not been purchased.
Chair,
What is that? You want to know about uniforms where?
I get it.
No, listen. Listen. Let us try to stick.
No, I'm speaking under the item. I'm speaking under the item.
So you're going to when? 2010?
Item
2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Chairman, what is being discussed here is exactly what I just spoke about. With the police second division, they had a recommendation to change the uniform of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. It was a totally different brand, a different feel. It will look different. It was to just transform the whole image of the police service, and they stated similar to what the previous commissioner of police said about the type of uniform. But that was just based on a recommendation. Those are just samples. So that has absolutely nothing to do with the actual allocation of the uniform in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service in the Quartermaster Department. Those were just samples that you saw. There's absolutely no decision that has been made as yet to confirm if it will go in that direction. That really will be the call of the Commissioner of Police.
Put a spins out.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, but Diego Martin Ortiz asked my question.
Okay. St. Anne's, and then the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just looking at item number 51, the relocation of overseas staff, and we just wanted to inquire from the Minister.
Item what?
Number 51, page 330, on under
Yes.
goods and services.
Yes.
Right. Relocation of overseas staff. I just wanted to know what exactly that increase related to, what type of staff?
Those are special branch officers assigned to the embassies, Mr. Chairman. So we are looking at Miami, missing one, Miami, New York, and we now have approval for another to be stationed in London.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Chairman, if I may come back to 05,
Yes.
telephones.
Yes.
We are very well off as a country, but we do have some challenges, and I'm wondering whether there are any specific efforts within the police service to keep the telephone bill cost within a reasonable, or how should I put it? You need to use the phone as much as you have to for the job, but to prevent abuse or minimize abuse. Because, Mr. Chairman, given the priorities we have for expenditure in the country on other items, 2013, $38 million in telephones. 2014, we budgeted $40 million, estimated down to be $39 million. And instead of, we're looking now to add $6 million more to that, so we're budgeting $45 million, which would mean that over a 3-year period, we would have spent well over $100 million in telephone service within the police service. And I'm wondering if this is properly managed within the service, and what are the control systems in place to make sure that this line item expenditure is in keeping with what is required and no excesses.
The Honourable Minister of National Security.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The point is taken, but I just want to add, however, that with that item you see telephone, whereas in other ministries you will just see it as telephones. This here also includes the IT, internet, the broadband to be used between the IATF and other arms of the law enforcement agencies. And so, yes, it is utilized to pay for landlines, but also the official mobile units, the cellular phones that are given to numerous of the police officers. And then they have the wide area networks, the data lines, and internet to over 102 locations at 77 police stations. I do understand your point, however. I do see where you're coming from, for us to just ensure that that the system and the process is not abused. I think the abuse can only be really based on the individuals who may have the mobile phones and the landlines.
What controls are in place? Are there limits to personal use? Or what do you have in place? Or is it just wide open?
Cell phones, it's limited.
Yes, I know with the, not with the landline, but the mobile phone, there is a limit. But again, the limit will be based on the officer in his line of duty. So some may have a limit different to others. $300.
But it's an area that you would look at to see, to make sure that we can.
What we'll do is we'll look at especially the landlines, and look at the different police stations, and then we can verify if it is being abused in a specific area or if there's justification for it.
And how are you charged for internet services? You charge station by station, or you have a package from the supplier? Because that's an area where costs can run away if you don't have a proper arrangement in place. Have you tried to get a package service that services
For all 77 stations.
What do you have in place now?
I think it's packaged. What's that?
3 centralized locations.
What? Yes, there are three centralized locations, and they're all based on a package itself. So it's not that the more you use it, the more it will cost.
But within there, we do have more than one supplier in the country. Is competition taken into account when you seek the service?
Well, competition takes into consideration there are some areas for which we get a better deal with flow, and we have used flow, and
Some I know, some have been used through flow
based on cost.
So the competition is there, but I mean it is limited, and there would be some fly-by-night companies that obviously we wouldn't even consider. Yeah.
All right, we go on to item 2, police service, Tobago.
No. Mr. Chairman, I put up my hand long time.
So we still under goods and services? Okay, I recognize Diego Laventer East Mover, Diego Martin East, Lebre, then Aruka Maloney.
Before you go to the, all right. Under, I have a few questions, please. Under 09, rent, lease, vehicles and equipment. I see it moved from 2013, 5 million to 9 million in 2015. I just would like to know what is the cause of this increase? Also, what are the procurement systems used?
Sorry, Mrs.
Page 330.
09.
Rent, lease, equipment.
What is the procurement process used?
329.
For the rental and lease of vehicles. You find it?
Yes. Well,
From 5 million to 9 million
it went from
in
5 to 9.
2015.
Yeah. Yes, there's a selective tender process, but there are several different companies that the options are
You
made
use
from.
one company or use?
No. Several different companies.
Okay.
But again, but they are different purpose. There will be a different purpose. There will be some that will be used by some of the intelligence agencies in the police service, some operation undercover. So they are obviously unmarked.
So what's the reason for this big increase in expenditure?
From 5 million
to
9 million.
The extent of the service that we have to provide organized crime, criminal.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Because of the units that we have now, the organized crime unit, the criminal gangs and intelligence unit. IATF. Okay. Special branch.
Okay. I put up 16. There's an increase from 2014 to 2015 of 15 million under contract employment. What accounts for this? And I'd like to get a list of the contract employees in the police service and their positions.
You would like to get these, sorry?
A list.
The list?
Of all the contract persons
Okay, I can have that.
and their positions. And what accounts for this 15 million increase from one year to the other?
Well, okay. Of the contracted employment.
Let me just ask a question. Are these contract employees police officers or are they civilians?
No, civilian employees, okay. Mr. Chairman. Well, Mr. Chairman, when I give the list will actually show the difference of what has caused the increase of the 15 million.
Okay, no problem.
Yes,
I want to find out about the police service concerning police officers.
Which item?
How many police officers are on contract? ex-police officers are on contract in the police service.
Well,
Same. I'm still under 16.
I'll have that provided in the list as well, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Under training,
Where training is?
I know that there was a vacancy for a provost. Has that vacancy been filled, and by who?
Yes.
Provost.
Which one is that, member? Lavender Lee Smoker?
You have identified somebody?
17.
17, training.
But yeah, he hasn't started. He hasn't started yet.
Yes, so what are you asking there?
I am asking.
Okay.
The increase?
No, I am asking about a provost in the police training academy. I know that there was a vacancy. Was that vacancy filled? And I'd like to know by who.
That vacancy was filled just a week or so ago, Mr. Chairman, by a retired police officer.
What's his name?
Retired Simon Alexis.
Simon Alexis.
He was assistant commissioner.
Police officer.
Assistant. He was assistant commissioner.
Is he qualified for the post?
Yes. Yeah.
Did we get his?
And we have
you send us his qualification and so on?
Yes.
Could you send it?
Could we go to the... Yes, one more?
Yes.
Good. Piano all day.
No,
Yes.
we forget you. I have a question concerning the
Good.
Yes.
buying out of leave of police officers. Minister, could you tell us from 2013 to 2014, how many police officers leave? How many were bought out? And who are they?
No, we don't have that list.
Yes, you could provide it.
But what I can say, it is very.
provide it.
We try to avoid this as much as possible, Mr. Chairman.
Buying out leave.
By not leave. The only time that it will be done is if there's a specific need based on an assessment and a reason to have the individual remain for that specific period, for that extra period in time.
Okay, but could we be furnished with the information?
Sure. For what period? What time frame?
From 2013, 2014?
2014, yes.
All right. And the list of the officers?
Of the officers, yes.
bought
And
out.
I could also provide you with the amount of leave that was bought out as well.
36 extraordinary expenditure. Could you tell me what accounted for the expenditure of 10 million and what constitutes extraordinary expenditure?
Yes.
You want to provide that, or you
No,
could
I
do
think I
it?
could get that now.
Okay.
No, they should be able to tell us.
That's one of your 12 questions. That's 13 you had then. We have it here, so I can have it provided.
I mean,
Oh, you want to get it? Okay.
strange line item. What is that? Extraordinary.
Well, whilst they are waiting to supply that,
I have another question while you're waiting.
Yes.
I have another
yes,
question.
go ahead.
Food at the institution.
What's that? Sorry?
Food.
Food
What was
again.
this? What
There's a
again?
16 million.
Again.
Yes, why I ask this is because we observe that in all the institutions, the food bill is very high. Now, I know that the regiment and the Coast Guard provides food for their
Because of overnight duty and
right,
yes.
but the police officers do not provide food for on
Yes.
that basis unless
They get a
maybe
meal
recruits
allowance.
or so on.
Yes.
All right. So how come this expenditure is so high, 16 million? Where did this come from?
Okay,
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, the bulk of that really will be those persons who are actually held for over a weekend, the prisoners, persons who would be in the cells for a few days until they move to where they belong.
You provide them with food for the tune of 16 million. Minister, I'm listening.
They eaten?
Okay, I have one question concerning
I understand your point. We will look at the list. We will look at the list and get a breakdown.
because
Final question before we go
medical
on.
expenses, there's a 5 million increase in medical expenses. What accounted for that? 58.
this one.
Number 58.
58. Reason for the increase. The increase, again, because of the increase in manpower strength, the increase in staff would also cause the increase in the allocation for medical expenses.
So what was that increase over the year that will account for $5 million?
The increase would have been, what was the strength?
When it's 5 million, you're seeking.
I know.
So
Yeah, but what about the,
Not at all.
was the manpower strength increased by what?
we have
1,200 SRPs and 400 from the regulars, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and with the plan to have another 1,000 added, that would cause the increase 25 million.
Also, you pay any medical upfront or something?
No, this is in anticipation of.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it.
Yes, I recognize the member for the Gomartin Northeast.
Rent, lease of office accommodation and storage. What is storage? And on page 329, 02, 001, 08, rent, lease of office accommodation and storage. Please explain what storage means, and could you give us a list of all of the properties that the police service is renting, who their owners are, and what the rent is? Hold on, that's just question 1. Question 2, vehicles and equipment. Again, could we get a list of all vehicles being rented, and from whom, and at what cost? And could I ask on this one, a related question? Could I be told how many vehicles the police service is renting?
Yes.
And why, this is just a deduction I've come to, why is the police service purchasing vehicles as opposed to renting vehicles? Because the allocation for rental is 9 million, but on another head, which we'll come to in due course, I saw an allocation of 50 million for acquisition of vehicles. So could I get the general philosophy behind purchase of vehicles, which then leads to my next question, 13, $75 million on maintenance of vehicles. Is this being done in-house, or is it being farmed out to private contractors? If it is being farmed out to private contractors, the maintenance of vehicles, could I get a list of the names of these contractors and the amounts paid to them in 2014 and what you expect for 2015? With respect to 16, contract employment, could we get the positions, a description of the positions of all these people who are hired on contract?
That's already.
No, did you ask for the positions? And the
yeah,
actual persons who were hired in 2014 and who you expect to hire in 2015? Could you explain on item 22 what is short-term employment and what caused short-term employment to go from its 2014 estimate of 5 million to its revised estimate of 23,500,000, which is an increase of about 600% or 500%? And what is item 23 for? Fees, is that legal fees or consultancy fees? If it is, could we get a list of everybody paid under fees in 2014 and a breakdown of what you expect to spend $15 million on fees in 2015? Could you explain on item 28 what is other contracted services?
They purchase?
No, these are questions I want answers. What is other contracted services? How did you spend this 10 million in 2014? How you expect to spend 12 million in 2015? You've already answered extraordinary expenditure, I think. Did you get an answer for extraordinary expenditure? What it is?
Yeah.
They'll provide us.
Say what it was?
Yeah.
What's that?
Extraordinary expenditure.
Yeah,
Can you explain what it was?
Yeah.
Could we even just get a brief explanation before you get to the list? Tell us what is this, and then with respect to food at institutions, could we find out if this is done in-house or you buy from caterers or KFC or whatever it is you do? And could we get a breakdown of the major persons that you acquired food from in 2014 and who you intend to buy food from in 2015 for food at institutions? We're talking about $16 million here. With respect to housing accommodation, who are you housing at a cost of $1.5 million? And with respect to medical expenses, could you clarify whether police officers get complete coverage not just for injuries in the line of duty, but for lifestyle problems, cardiac problems, problems with high blood pressure, and so on. That's it.
Okay, the Honourable Minister.
Just on this item alone, that's it.
Chairman, I don't know where to start. Yes.
We'll start at the beginning, which was office accommodation.
Okay, that
storage.
was,
08.
Chairman, the housing accommodation, that is for the overseas special
Which
branch.
item? That's the last one I just said there.
Yeah.
Housing accommodation.
The last shall be first.
50, okay, right, yeah.
So the housing accommodation, those are for the individuals who are stationed abroad.
Okay.
The extraordinary expenditure, that will involve funeral expenses, removal of dead bodies, and in paying for informants and other aspects along those lines.
Continue.
Okay.
Pertaining to the rental of vehicles, there are 50 vehicles being rented. Those vehicles would be used for covert operations. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to provide you with what you want to get the numbers.
The types, the numbers, who you're renting.
No, we can't give you the vehicle numbers.
No.
Oh, you mean right.
5
Yes,
Nissan,
sure.
2 Toyota.
Yes, that we can provide you
And
with.
who you're renting them from. And I had a much more fundamental question.
Yeah, but Mr. Chairman, it'll be difficult for us to state with those 50 vehicles exactly the company that they'll be rented from.
You can't tell us?
Well, but that could obviously, if you get it from Rudy's Car Rental, all you need to go to.
I don't like the example, but
So you don't want to compromise his
Yes,
covert
because
operation?
yes.
All right, okay. Could you then explain, because I had a related question on this. Why are you focusing on the purchase of vehicles, which carries with it a maintenance responsibility, as opposed to rental of vehicles?
Well, most of the vehicles, yes, that is the standard approach in the public service, and with the maintenance of all of these vehicles, these vehicles are sent to Toyota, Massey, and Lifestyle, and then there would be some that will go to with the Omega, Vemcot, because there were some vehicles such as the Omega vehicles that were purchased, so Vemcot will deal with the maintenance for those vehicles.
You're not answering my question. Have you done a cost-benefit analysis, an efficiency audit, to determine whether it would be more efficient and more beneficial in terms of cost to rent or lease vehicles on a long-term basis, other than having to have this huge infrastructure and bureaucracy to maintain all these vehicles?
we have none.
No, we have not.
Do you
Chairman.
intend to do that?
No. Well, what I would do again with the liaison with the Commissioner of Police, this is an ongoing basis for us to improve the police service, and if at any time we can see something that can improve it, we will liaise with the Commissioner of Police to look into it.
Buying a vehicle and then send it by Toyota for Toyota fixed, why don't you just lease it from Toyota or Mazda, as the case may be? Mr. Speaker, I'm being disturbed by non-security personnel. So I would really, since you're saying this is, you met it so, this is the practice in the public service, you really should bring in an expert. Because look at the money you're spending, $75 million on maintenance, $50 million on acquisition of vehicles, that's $125 million. You really should consider bringing an expert to advise you on whether you should go into long-term leases with maintenance included, or whether you should continue this practice of purchase and maintenance.
Yes, we would consider.
But let's go again.
Yes, Chairman.
Lebre.
Mr. Speaker, I have a number of questions.
I hope you're not repeating.
No, not repeating at all. Rent and lease of office, or office accommodation and storage. In 2013, 30 million. 2014, 36 million. 2015, 40 million. I would like to find out, Mr. Speaker, the total number of buildings under lease arrangement and the total cost, and also the total number of buildings under rental arrangement and the total cost. I would also like to find out as well, in terms of the congested Library Police Station.
Yeah, we can all hear.
Is that building?
We can all hear you. You don't have to shout.
I'm shouting?
Well, I thought so. All right. Okay, go ahead.
In terms of the Library Police Station, congested Library Police Station, is that building under lease arrangement or rental? And if so, what is the cost, the annual cost?
Yes.
It's a new police station.
The first question. First two questions.
Honourable Minister, can you respond?
Mr. Chairman, I think that question was already asked. So that we are going to provide that information. However, with the Library Police Station, that's a UDCOT project. That's a brand new that's a new building.
No. Right now, where the Library Police officers are stationed, that building there.
Oh, he's talking.
All right. They said that they'll provide that to you in writing. What's the next question, Honourable Member?
The second question has to do with...
It's a government building, by the way. It's a government building.
And Library, where the police is
where the police, where they're stationed now. The old one.
The old police station.
There is a rental now.
That is where the public bank...
Yes, where the bank was. Yeah. It's a rental. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, it's a rental, that one there.
Yes.
And what is the rental cost?
Okay, I'll get that for you.
We can get that provided for you. What's the next question?
21. Repairs and maintenance buildings. I would like to know how many buildings are under this repair and maintenance program. Because that's a huge figure. 16 by 20 by 25.
It's 102.
102?
Yes. Plus there'll be 8 new buildings that will be coming on board shortly.
Okay.
Next question.
No, Mr. Speaker. Come back to that same Library Police Station where the officers are now occupied.
Yeah.
That building is in a state of disrepair. Who still about the maintenance of that building?
That is why it is we have the new building, Mr. Chairman, and they're moving into that new station shortly.
Yeah, you have an old building and a new one is there, and they're moving in shortly.
Yes.
I'm asking this question against the backdrop that even though you have a new building that they're going to occupy shortly, right, to have those officers occupy the premises that they have right now, in that condition, it worries me.
All right, what's the next question?
Chairman, I think they could wait a week. It's just within a week or so they will be moving.
Member for Library, next question.
That's it.
You're true. Aruka Maloney.
Could I just get an assurance?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, based...
Yes, we are showing that.
Yes, you have my assurance.
Yes.
Sub-item 13, page 330, maintenance of vehicles and repair. I'm just asking whether or not this particular allocation of $75 million, which is a $10 million increase from last year, would be utilized to repair the vehicles or all the police vehicles that are at the St. James Barracks that are in dire need of being repaired.
Well, within the last 2 years, Mr. Chairman, we acquired 550 new vehicles. But what is the question that
there are lots of vehicles at the St. James Barracks that are in dire need of being repaired. Those vehicles are basically parked up at one side of the compound.
Yes, there's a border survey. Some will be disposed and some to be repaired, Mr. Chairman.
The Honourable Member for the Gumartin West.
Much. Mr. Speaker, I would like to go to item 23, fees.
Yes. I think that was raised already.
Oh, while I go to the room?
Yes, somebody raised that, and the member for the Gumartin notice, and they promised to provide a breakdown.
They alleged they will already.
I don't know if you want to add for that.
Okay, since I wasn't there, my apologies. But was it legal fees? No. The other fees,
licenses in the internet and...
Other fees, okay, but if it's software, no problem.
All right, we will now proceed to sub-item 03, minor equipment purchases. Before we move on?
Just one more, if I move on to that, and I'd like to read off on that one too. Okay. But I just want to ask the Minister, what is it under hosting of conferences, seminars, and other functions? What is it that we're going to be doing for $9 million in 2015, having spent $10 million in 2014 on that? What is that? That's a
The
generous,
Honourable Minister?
generous
Yes, yeah,
allocation.
yes, Mr. Chairman.
It's pretty generous there.
The conferences.
We would have spent $10 million in 2014, and we're budgeting $9 million in 2015 for conferences and seminars.
Right, yes. We had, I know there was a breakdown for that. You have a breakdown? We do have the breakdown for that, Mr. Chairman, so I can have that provided for you.
Thank you.
All right,
Well, I'd move on them, Mr. Speaker, to minor equipment.
Right, so we go to minor equipment, subhead 03,
Again.
minor equipment, item 1, police service Trinidad, police service Tobago, item 2. Recognize
not
the
Tobago.
honourable member for the Martin West.
I was going to advance past Tobago to 03. We had 03.
Yes, we had 03.
So it's Trinidad.
Yeah. Yes, you can deal with Tobago
Okay.
too.
So 03, 001, and I'm here dealing with 01 and 04. Vehicles and other minor equipment.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, over and above the other expenses for vehicles that I find elsewhere in the arrangements, what exactly are these vehicles covered under minor equipments here for $42 million in 2015? And what did we buy for $20 million in 2014? Because we have some other provisions elsewhere for vehicles. So could you get a clarification there, please? And while I'm at it, then we have other minor equipment for another $65 million. So could we get some clarification there just to tell us what exactly are we buying there? And I crave your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, to mention under 99, Employee Assistance Program. Was that raised in my absence?
No.
Could you accept the question then, Mr. Speaker? I'm asking, why is the allocation so low for Employee Assistance Program? One expects that the police service is one area in the public service where employees, because of the nature of their duty, would require significant intervention under Employee Assistance Programs. Why then is the allocation so low and consistently low, from 137,000 to 270,000 to 500,000? Shouldn't that be a more substantial allocation to treat the known problem?
Yeah, that is under goods and services, which going back to accommodate the honourable.
Yes, that's right.
And we'll come back.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, well, okay, there is an internal EAP, so they deal with most of those other issues. So because
and they aren't budgeted for?
Well, no, that will be part of this under salaries.
So what is this then?
Well, this will be external.
This is the higher external support.
If somebody.
Yeah. So this doesn't represent the total amount of effort.
No, there's an internal.
Okay.
Let me just pertaining to the 2014. In 2014, 101 vehicles were purchased, and that's a cost of the bulk of the 20 million. In 2015, the anticipation would be it's anticipated for 226 vehicles, and that would be vehicles being replaced because of the border survey at a cost of $40 million, Mr. Chairman. 42.
All right, we go to sub 03.
Mr. Chair, my hand is up.
No. I'm saying we back to sub head 03.
03.
Minor equipment and purchases. I recognize. Oh, Honourable Leader, you asked about 04. On the 04, you
yes, but he answered both. I thought.
Okay, so we will now go to Lavender East.
You answered vehicles, but you didn't tell me what the other minor equipment, the 65 million. What's that for?
Oh yes. That's the firearm, ammunition, bulletproof vests.
All right, so
if you want, I can get a breakdown for you.
No, we don't want that. Could we go to Lavender East Mover? Your name is here. You're coming up. You cannot jump the queue. You're a teacher. Yes, continue.
I just would like to know. Yeah, he's okay with you, man. But I just would like to know. Okay, are you all listening to me now?
Yes, continue.
I just would like to know what is being put in place to ensure, because this is the expenditure is really a lot, 22 million here, 01. What is being put in place to ensure proper use and maintenance of the vehicles? Concerning the GPS, how many vehicles are outfitted with GPS system?
It's 4.
Also, I'd like to know about the procurement process concerning the vehicles. Who are the suppliers? And are these vehicles customized police vehicles?
All 917 GPS, all the new ones.
All the new vehicles have GPS on them, and the total will be 970 vehicles.
All the new vehicles?
Yes.
Okay. Are they
Over the last 3 years?
being made for the older ones?
Yes, and it's continuing, yes.
Okay.
All right.
We will be covering all.
Procurement process. Who are the suppliers?
The
of these new
Central Tenders Board.
Central Tenders Board, we recognize the Gomate notice.
Hold on, Mr. They didn't answer all.
Which one again you
What is
want?
being put in place to ensure proper maintenance and usage of the vehicles? Because
Maintenance.
you're still seeing police vehicles in places that it should not be seen. What is being put in place?
Well, Chairman, I just want to clarify, what the maintenance of the vehicles, where they're being maintained, or
Track them with the GPS.
or to be tracked?
So that they are where they're supposed to be and not elsewhere.
Well, no, they are being monitored at the police headquarters, their command center, and they're also being monitored, they can be monitored through the National Operations Center.
What accounting procedure is in place concerning drivers of the vehicle, the police officers themselves? What, to make sure that they take care of the vehicles?
Oh, meaning preventive maintenance?
Yes.
The maintenance is consistent to follow the schedule.
Well, there's a preventative maintenance scheme similar to what you'll have with your private vehicle, where over a specific period or miles, the vehicle will then go into either Toyota Lifestar or Neil & Massey or Vemcot.
Okay, the Gomate notice.
Mr. Speaker, a few years ago, there was a move by the police service and national security to have customized police vehicles, purpose-built, purpose-designed police vehicles. However, I've observed that the vehicles that were purchased in 2014, and I assume from what you're saying, the vehicles that will be purchased in 2015 are all standard, typical sedans, pickups, SUVs. Has a decision been taken by the Ministry of National Security and/or the police service not to bother with acquisition of specialized vehicles, and you are now buying ordinary, run-of-the-mill sedans, SUVs, and pickups?
Yes, and there's no decision to have the custom-built vehicles, so in the short term,
So
it will continue the process.
Buying what's available on the market in terms of sedans, SUVs, pickups, etc. In that context, therefore, since I know what the reason was that the ordinary vehicles don't last, they don't stand up to the rigors of police work and so on. What's the average lifespan of one of these vehicles? 3?
Mr. Chairman, because of the concept of because of the preventative maintenance now, and the system that's being used to ensure that over a specific period or miles the vehicles go in for maintenance, I think what is the attrition rate now? All the vehicles are roadworthy at this time. So
you're not answering my question.
So what is
do the vehicles last for 1 year, 2 3 year, 4 year, 5 year? What's the average lifespan?
3 years. 3 years.
3 years? So you change out a vehicle after 3 years? That's what's happening?
I don't know. What is the lifespan? Sorry, my apologies. We're looking more like 6 years. Because of how it is being run now with the preventative maintenance, we're looking at 6 years.
You're keeping a police vehicle for 6 years and then changing it because you say you're doing better maintenance. That's what you say. That's what you're telling me?
What? I don't understand.
Are you saying that you are now keeping police vehicles for 6 years because you've improved the maintenance of police vehicles? Is that what
they're all staying on the road. They're roadworthy.
All right.
Wait. No, no.
Yes, go ahead, Honourable Member.
I don't want to know who you're buying firearms and bulletproof vests and all these sort of things from. But could you give us some kind of global breakdown of? Well, you have 65 million here. Is it all for firearms or?
No, we have,
You'll come back to us on that? Or you have the information?
we have it.
Yeah, just the numbers, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what proportion goes for that.
So much for firearms, so much for bulletproof vests.
And the last, after
because-
you,
Because
it's Port of
on
Spain
that,
North, St. Anne's
I'm really
West.
concerned about your procurement procedures for firearms. Is that a national security thing?
What, the breakdown?
No, when you give me the breakdown,
No,
I'm concerned about the procurement procedures for firearms. How do you go about doing this?
41 million? Just over $41 million for firearms.
Okay, so say $40 million for firearms.
12 million for rifles.
Yeah. How do you decide what type of firearm to buy, who you buy it from?
Well,
policy.
yeah, the type of weapons to buy will be based on the threat assessment and based on the needs of the specific agencies in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So the IATF may have something totally different from undercover officers or to officers who will be on patrols.
No, but we don't make guns in Trinidad, at least not as far as I know.
No.
So you import them from somewhere.
Yes.
How do you decide whether you're bringing guns from Israel or United States or from Czech Republic, which is a big manufacturer? How do you go about doing it? Is there science to all of this?
Well, there are different type of weapons, Mr. Chairman. And let's stay with the sidearm. And there will be an assessment that will be made because there will be different things that you need to look at. The maintenance, the wear and tear of the weapon, the range of fire.
Let me tell you what I'm driving. I assume you have to change out firearms as well.
Yes.
You keep a car for 5-6 years and then you change it. Right? I assume you keep firearms for a certain period and then you have to change them out. Otherwise, you wouldn't keep buying guns all the time.
Correct.
Have you ever done any sort of value for money audit, or have you looked at this? Because a huge expenditure item is $40 million a year. That's the question I'm asking you.
We are standardizing the system. We've done an assessment,
Yes.
a total assessment. We liaise with international organizations.
Yes, I know the plan is to standardize, at least with the firearm, to have a set, the pistol, to have one set of the pistols across the board.
Based on advice?
Yeah, based on
Yes.
All right.
assessment, consultation.
Based on assessment, consultation. But I know what you want to try to acquire to ensure the procurement process.
No, you're spending $40 million a year acquiring firearms. It's a large sum of money. I assume next year you may spend another $30-40 million.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not every year we are going at this 40 million. It's because we are changing to one specific firearm.
I'm just wondering how you go about doing this. I'm not asking you national security.
I understand, yeah.
Do you have a policy?
Yes, we do.
All right, okay.
Yes.
I'll talk to you off.
Can I recognize Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West?
Thank you, Chair. I want to ask a question.
Just press your, right, good.
How many employees on average, you would say, utilize the external EAP service annually?
The external.
Yeah, the external. You say you have an internal service and an external service. How many employees you will say?
Yes, the social workers, they will have a record with that, Mr. Chairman, so I can have that provided for you.
Have that provided.
I just like to ask, when did the service actually commence? Was it in 2013?
The external?
Yes. And who is the provider?
No, it is ongoing. And
who is the provider of the service?
When was it started and who is the provider? Could you provide that in writing?
I'll have it provided for you,
And
Mr. Chairman.
last thing, has
Yes.
there been an increase in usage recently to warrant the increase in expenditure, small as it is? Have more people, more officers been using the external service recently?
But we also have a large organization.
Yeah, well, Chairman, the answer is yes, but remember we also have an increase in the strength of the police service. So with the increase in the strength of the police service, there would be a need for more persons to use the external EAP.
Final question, Laventille West, and we go on to current transfers and subsidies after.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I'm looking at 04,
Yes.
other minor equipment. Can the Minister indicate whether or not this figure includes the purchase of body cameras, radar guns, and the bulletproof vests?
And the body bag?
No,
If so,
that's ODPM.
If so, who are the suppliers specifically towards the body cameras and the cost of those. And with respect to bulletproof vests,
You don't have cameras on this?
Yes, go ahead.
are those vests
So what's this for?
presently in use?
The Minister of National Security.
This bulletproof vest?
Vest cameras. Well, if you
But
purchase
not
vest
this will not include the body cameras.
It will not include the body
No.
cameras.
But what about the vest?
It will have the,
The bulletproof vests from China and India.
Yes, he said yes.
yes.
Yeah?
Yes. I recognize the Martin Central. And that's the last one.
Minister,
before we go to the next
a year
item.
ago, your government made an announcement of a bicycle squad, bicycled officers. Some have been seen on the roads. Now, I don't know if it will be found under vehicles or equipment, but I'm asking, at this point, I see your officers are smiling. At this point, how many bicycles have been purchased by the police service, who is a supplier? Are any further to be purchased in 2015, or has this idea perished? And I'd like an idea of the deployment by division of these
The Honourable Minister.
bicycles.
Atlantic,
What about the bicycles? They're on stream?
Atlantic Blue. Mr. Chairman, the bicycle patrol is only in Tobago
Only in Tobago.
and not purchased by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. It is, they were donated? Yeah, donated by National Gas Company.
All right, so we're going on to sub 04, current transfer and subsidies. Item 1, regional bodies. Item 4, international bodies. Item 5, non-profit institutions. I recognize the member for Laventille West.
Police youth clubs, can Minister indicate how many police youth clubs there are presently?
91.
The Honourable Minister.
91, Mr.
91?
Chairman.
There are 91.
91, 91.
Laventille East Mover.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, Police Youth Club and also non-profit organization. But concerning Police Youth Club, my concern is, are we getting, have any evaluation been done of this Police Youth Club, these clubs? I know they have been in existence for a while, but is there any evaluation process?
The Honourable
They have
Minister.
been meeting their objective?
CSP did an assessment.
The Citizen Security Program, they actually did an assessment with the youth clubs. But
Made some key recommendations.
yeah, there were recommendations made to improve the youth clubs.
Okay.
You want a report of it? I could.
Yes, I would like to.
It's not confidential
No,
document.
because I heard there's some information that I have concerning the youth clubs. I just wanted
Sure.
if you all do an evaluation to see if they're meeting the objectives. Concerning non-profit organized institutions, I just would like to get a list of these institutions. I see here that there is an allocation for 5 million. What are these institutions?
So that is the youth club?
That's the total, you know, the 5 million.
Oh, this is just the total? It's
Yes,
the same
yes,
youth club?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Also,
let me go
it's
to
just
Paul.
only the youth club?
Yeah.
No other
The Portuguese South.
organization? Okay, thanks.
I recognize Portuguese South.
Yeah, I have a complaint about it now that we're on the Police Youth Club, but the one that is operating at the George Street Soup Center. Yes, but I'll have to talk to the minister and the commissioner.
Behind the chair?
Behind the chair.
Okay,
because
no
it's very
problem.
serious.
Let's go to
That
item
is
7,
youth club.
households. We going to item 9, other transfers.
No, Mr. Chairman, I was on households.
Oh, you're on households, right?
Yeah, I was.
Yes, those are-
00701,
Right,
ex gratia awards.
right.
First question is, what exactly is that? Who gets it and under what circumstances? And what explains the significant increase in the allocation where in 2013 we used up $2 million for that? The following year, 2014, we budgeted $8 million and apparently we'll spend 4 of that 8. And now we are budgeting $14 million in 2015. Could we get an explanation for those movements, please?
The Honourable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This has to do with persons who were killed in the line of duty or injured, and compensation is given to the family.
From 2 million to 14 million, half the police service dead?
No, it depends on what it is you're giving them. And which goes right back when we had how many? Yes, remember there was also this. Remember there was this agreement. The decision that was made for $1 million to be given now to all persons for the spouse of persons who were killed in the line of duty.
So the 14 million anticipates that.
Well, we are anticipating that all the money will come back to us.
No.
But it wouldn't be spent.
Wait. In 2014, before this $1 million thing kicked in, it appears here that you had budgeted, well, not appears, we had budgeted $8 million for that issue. Turns out, on the revised estimates, 2014, we'll only spend $4 million. That's what the numbers say here, right? So we had over budgeted by 100%. Now we are budgeting 14 million for what we had actually spent 4 million on. And you're saying that this is in anticipation of the new arrangements.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it's good we have the budget. What we don't want to do is to not have it budgeted, and then we have a situation where the spouse now we are scrambling looking for something. It is hoped that this will not be spent in any way at all.
I just want to understand what is the justification for what you asked for.
Well, again, because of the $1 million, we just want to make sure that it is there so that if at any time it is required, or hopefully not, there will not be any concern for us to try to find funds. If you put through $2 million and 3 persons are killed in the line of duty.
I think you have explained yourself.
So
let's go to
it will do anywhere
item
else.
9. Minister, you have explained yourself. Item 9, other transfers. Then we go to subhead 09, development program. Item 4, social infrastructure. Member for the Gumate Northeast and honourable member for Laventille East. Move on.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I noticed there's an item here, 001. 022, sorry. Purchase of vehicles and equipment for the police service. It's on page 164. Could you please explain why you have the purchase of vehicles in 2 different locations? You have purchase of vehicles under goods and services in recurrent expenditure, and you have purchase of vehicles in your IDF. And when you're explaining that to me, I heard a comment from the Commissioner of Police saying that the Central Tenders Board was the one who was acquiring these vehicles for you. I'm shocked to hear that. I thought we had given the police some autonomy, and we really need to look into that. But is it that the procurement procedures under the IDF are different to the procurement procedures for vehicles under goods and services? And could you also explain what refurbishment of Riverside Plaza means? Is it that the police have taken over that building or part of it? And could you tell me what is the procurement procedure for purchase of furniture and furnishings, that's 003, Riverside Plaza 29. Is it that the police have to go through the CTB for all I don't know what word to use, non-secret, non-military hardware? Is it that everything else you have to go through the Central Tenders Board? Are you humbugged with that? Could you explain all of this to me, please?
The Honourable Minister.
One has to do with expansion, or the expansion of the number of vehicles, and the other has to do with the replacement of the vehicles. The recurrent, dealing with the replacement. So that's the...
I understand that, but I heard a comment from the Commissioner saying Central Tenders Board procure these vehicles. Is that true?
Yes. Yes.
Any other?
No, but no, hold on.
Yes.
Is that for both a replacement and new vehicles?
Yes, that's right.
Does the CTB also procure furniture for the police service?
No, Chairman, no.
Could you then explain how come you're stuck with the CTB for the acquisition of vehicles, but you have flexibility with respect to acquisition of furniture?
Oh, yes, sir. That's with what the authorization of the Commissioner of Police will have at the time.
From who?
Well,
given the
$1 million. Remember, the Commissioner of Police, with this, he has this budget allocation anything more than $1 million.
He has to go
It then has to
before
go
the
to
Central Tenders Board.
the Central Tenders Board.
Wow,
Yeah.
So when you have to purchase 40 vehicles.
I understand.
Yeah.
Could I now go to Laventille
I
East,
empathize
move
with the police service.
Laventille East,
this
move up.
I go to the, back to Riverside Plaza.
Riverside
See, this is
Plaza.
a new project. What is the plan for Riverside Plaza? I see 10 million allocated for
Riverside
2015.
Plaza. What's the plan?
Service to house several of the units.
Yeah, that was initially to house several units in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. The Anti-Corruption Investigation Bureau, Financial Investigation Bureau, Homicide Bureau of Investigation, Finance Branch, several different units in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
But then I see, you said homicide prevention unit too?
Yes.
Yes.
But then there's a separate allocation here for homicide prevention unit.
But not for...
Which sub-item you want to tell us?
Sub-item.
Yes, remember,
18.
remember there are several different arms in that locations. Sorry, for that bureau.
Well, I'm seeing homicide prevention unit, and then you're saying that part of Riverside Plaza is homicide prevention unit. So are you saying that there are different branches of?
Yes, there are different regions. So that is for that region.
Okay.
No, Mr. Chairman, I didn't get an answer. Have the police taken over the whole of Riverside Plaza? Isn't the Ministry of Labour? So it's only police inside Riverside Plaza?
Yes, that's right.
All right, we go to Aruka Maloney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I looked under all of the sub-items here specifically for two things. One, the expansion of the Aruka Police Station. Could the Minister indicate exactly when that will be done? And two, the refurbishment of the SRP headquarters in Aruka. The Minister had the displeasure to visit that facility.
Yes.
It is in a dilapidated condition and it is in dire need of refurbishment.
The Honourable Minister. And then Port Spain South.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that is accurate. I looked at the conditions there for the SRPs. It is not even anything even remotely close to being acceptable. I have spoken to the Commissioner of Police and we are trying to find somewhere to accommodate them. Pertaining to the Aruka Police Station, that would be, when is the date for?
All right, so they are looking to...
Do you want me to get the date for, there's something you asked, there's another question you
Port
asked.
Spain South.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Port Spain South.
Yes, like my colleague from Aruka Maloney, I too am looking at the various organizations here, but I'm not seeing the police posts on Duncan Street because there needs to be an upgrade there. You were there when it was opened last year, our Minister, and the public or the constituents here were assured that a community facility would have been placed there. Not one computer, absolutely nothing for the neighborhood was placed there. Just a police post, always closed up, does not even respond to the constituents in the area, but more so, all right, the Prime Minister had promised that that would have been a community facility at the same time, a homework center. That was the thing. And we had actually seen the space for the community center, homework center on the ground floor of that building. Absolutely nothing has happened. So I expected to see some form of allocation here for the upgrading of the police post on Duncan Street.
The Honourable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. There are some computers that are being provided. I will liaise with the Commissioner of Police to see how fast we can.
Not the community.
No, they would be provided.
Would.
They would
be provided. Yes, I recognize Diego Martin Central, and then we're going on.
013. Refurbishment of the police commissioner's residence.
Yes.
I see 1 million was expended in 2014.
Yes.
And 2 million is requested in 2015 for the refurbishment of the commissioner's residence. When will this project come to an end? What is the overall estimated cost of this refurbishment, and is this residence owned by the state or a leased property?
The Honourable Minister.
Because of the historical nature, Mr. Chairman, the $1 million, that was not expended.
So it wasn't expended last year?
the components of the question.
Yeah, the request to refurbish it is $7 million. So we can't just spend and just reach.
He just wants to know what is the time frame.
What
the refurbishment estimate is $7 million.
Yes.
When will that project come to an end?
No, we haven't started.
I'm asking when will it come to an end?
What
Completion
is the duration of the project?
Well, with the allocation, when they get the allocation, then they will be able to commence,
Okay, so
and then I'll be able to give you a timeline.
$2 million is allocated for this fiscal year, and you're suggesting that $5 more million will be requested. Does the state own this building, or is this a lease building?
Is that what it is?
It's owned.
It is owned.
Okay.
The historical site.
$7 million.
Let us move on. Item 5, multi-sectorial and other services, infrastructure development fund. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Chairman, under 001,
That's what this one?
we had provision 3.6 million in 2013.
Just advise us what page you're on again?
I'm on page 166.
166.
Yeah, development program.
Yes.
But I'm saying in 2013 we had provision 3.6 million, and I presume it was spent because it's recorded as actual. And then subsequently provision 10 million, and I see the revised estimates point to 10 million being spent. And I see also another 10 million set aside for the same thing in 2015. So what I would like to ask the Minister, this was to develop a computer system for the police service. What exactly is this paying for? Do we have a computer system in the police service? Are we building one? Are we buying one? Why is this regular, serious allocation for the last 3 or 4 years?
We haven't even get them the allocation.
Minister?
Yes.
Well,
yes. Mr. Chairman, what we are trying to do is to upgrade all the different police stations. We're speaking about 77 police stations, so it is an ongoing project to upgrade the police stations with this type of with IT. But what it is
I've been into a few police stations, and I can't recall getting the feeling that I'm in an IT environment. But if we're spending this kind of money, how is it changing the average police station?
We haven't. Yeah, the allocations required, they did not receive it.
But we received 20, what? We received 13, 11 and 3, that's 14.5 million in the last year and a half. And we now putting down another 10 million.
So you'd like to find out what
have we done with the last
what have we done with the 40 million?
You see, Minister, 64 billion is a lot of money. And these figures like 10 million, 15 million, 20 million beginning to sound in this country like chick feeding. There are some territories in the Caribbean for which 20 million is a national budget. So I'm trying to get our finger here on the pulse that these are not minor expenditures.
We have an entire plan to deal with the upgrade at IT we requested. 44 million, we got 10 million.
What I can do, Mr. Chairman, is give a breakdown of everything that was utilized and where those things are, where it is located at this time.
Well, what has happened with the computer system that we set out to establish in the police service, for which we've already spent 13 million, and we are down to spend another 10 million in the next 12 months?
Yes.
I'd like to know what we spent it on and where we are in that program.
Sure. You could provide that for the...
Yes, we have it. We have it here. So
and I'll move on from them, Mr.
Yes,
Speaker.
yes, of
on
course.
to 003, something called transformation of the police service.
Yes.
For which we spent 3.374 million.
Yes.
Very precise number in 2013. And then we provisioned 11 million in 2014. And we're now asking for another 10 million. While we accept that we are on a mission to transform the police service, I'd like to ask the Minister, what did we do with the 14 million that was spent in the last 24 months? And what are we going to be doing with the 10 million that we're asking for, specific to an assignment to transform the police service?
Yes, the Honourable Minister of National Security on that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and that goes into the breakdown for the introduction of the body cameras, national survey to deal with the anatomy of the fear of crime, community relations involving facilities, mining equipment, community caravans, the K9 unit, the police band, and training, which is an integral part to the transformation of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So I do have the breakdown I can give to you, and you can take a look at.
Some of those subheads you call their old police subheads, you know. Ever since I know the police have a band. So how is the police band being budgeted as transformation of the police service? I was expecting to hear something exciting and something new, like you got into something new. Not the police band and the K9 unit.
Well,
because somewhere else, I saw somewhere else in these documents, a K9 unit in Chagaramas for a few millions. So something is not right here.
Well, it's expansion. The K9 unit, to acquire 30 dogs, that will cost $3.5 million. For the police band, with new equipment, that alone would be over $4 million.
But why is budgeting for the K9 unit have a transformation, like maintenance? We've always had a K9 unit. I mean, I love it. I look forward to seeing the dogs out there and being put to work. So don't tell us that under transformation of the police service is the K9 unit. Can't be that.
Understood.
So it must be something else.
K9 is a change in approach. So there's a plan.
But with the K9 unit, though, Mr. Chairman, there's going to be a total change in the approach from they have passive, the tactical dogs, cadaver dogs, explosives, dogs that will be at the airports, dogs that will be on roadblocks. So there's going to be a whole revamp
of the
expansion of the K9 unit. Yes.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. I want to hear new things. You'll have chaka dogs. You'll have dogs that smell.
The airport.
Yeah, good
roadblocks.
dogs. Yeah. Okay, fine.
Okay, I think that honourable members.
Infrastructure Development Fund.
There is an item just one.
And then after Laventer lease, and then we close off.
There's an item
the honourable notice, Laventer lease, and then we close off.
to speak about in the consolidated development program.
Yes.
Page 164.
164.
001, improvement work to police station. Now, unless my eyes are tricking me, the allocation has been cut from 29 million to 5 million. 29 million in 2014 to 5 million in 2015. Well, what's the, I can't ask the commissioner this, I have to ask the minister. Our police stations are in such good shape that you no longer need to improve them. Why would anybody cut the allocation for improvement work to police stations from 29 million to 5 million in a $64 billion budget? Could you explain that to me? And it's not anywhere else before you tell me that. I'll look all about it. Nowhere else. Explain that to me, please.
Yes.
Well, we reflected 21, 28, we got 5. So it's based on the budgetary allocation.
It was based on the budget allocation.
So you're telling me the Minister of Finance decided this was low priority? Improvement work to police stations is low priority?
If there's a need for it to increase.
They put 17 million for food, 40 million for car, and 5 million for improvement work for police station? What's going on? Why are you treating the police service like this?
All right, your point is taken. We go to Laventer East Mova, and then Laventer West.
Give me half of that. And I'll make it up, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I crave your indulgence outside of a line item, since I have the minister and the commissioner here. And
could we have one meeting?
A question
please?
under the development program.
Yes, one
and
meeting.
Maybe the commissioner might be able to assist the minister. What is the story with respect to the Carenage police station? What is on the cards for the Carenage police station under the development program?
The Honourable Minister of National Security.
That's one of the stations that you forwarded.
Those are one of the, I actually met with URICOT dealing with that same matter. I am aware of the concern and where the police station, where it is at present. And we had meetings with URICOT to deal with this matter to see how fast we can move forward with it. I am aware of the situation.
Well, it's on the front burner. Is that telling me?
It is definitely. There's a draft. We are actually doing a draft note on it. Yes,
and
we are aware.
That is not just a Carenage police station. It is the Western Peninsula which does not really have a proper police presence.
And where it is at present is not really the ideal place.
So could we give it some priority?
It is,
Okay,
yes.
thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, the Honourable Member for Lavender East Mofa.
I just want to ask about the Besson Street Police Station.
Yes.
What is the status? It has, what is the status of the Besson Street Police Station?
It is under the IDF, you know.
Yeah, well, we move before you close off.
The tender that's been evaluated.
Yes, you want to tell us? No, he's going to answer it.
The tender has been evaluated at this time by UDCOT.
What did you say?
It's been evaluated by UDCOT, the tender.
All right, so how soon do you think this, I mean, given the area
By the first quarter of the year.
I think it is an urgent
First quarter, yes.
Honourable members, the question is at a sum of $2,431,926,800 for Head 64. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service stand part of the schedule. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $2,431,926,800 for Head 64, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service now stands part of the schedule. Honourable Minister of National Security, thank you very much. Commissioner of Police, thank you very much. And the team, thank you very much.